A nurse's quiet strength. How one flight changed everything. Jasmine Walker settled into her first-class seat, exhausted but content after a week-long medical conference. As a respected pediatric nurse, she was looking forward to some well-deserved rest on the flight home. However, her peaceful plans were shattered when Richard Davis, a wealthy businessman, took the seat next to her. From the moment he arrived, Richard made his disdain clear. He glanced at Jasmine with obvious disapproval, loudly questioning if she was in the right seat. "This is first class, you know," he sneered. Jasmine, used to such prejudice, remained calm and polite, focusing on her book instead of engaging with his rudeness. Throughout the boarding process, Richard continued to make snide remarks and complained to the flight attendants about trivial matters. He even tried to change seats, clearly uncomfortable sitting next to Jasmine. Despite his efforts, he was told there were no other available seats. As the flight progressed, the tension between them remained thick. Richard continued his subtle jabs, while Jasmine did her best to ignore him. She thought about the children she worked with daily, many of whom faced similar prejudices, and it strengthened her resolve to stay composed. Little did Richard know, his assumptions about Jasmine were about to be shattered. Just a few hours into the flight, a commotion erupted several rows ahead. A young boy was having a severe allergic reaction, gasping for breath with a swollen face. Panic spread through the cabin as flight attendants called for medical assistance. Without hesitation, Jasmine stood up and made her way to the child. "I'm a pediatric nurse," she announced calmly, kneeling beside the boy. Richard watched in stunned silence as Jasmine took control of the situation, her hands steady and her voice confident. Jasmine quickly assessed the situation, recognizing the signs of anaphylaxis. She called for the emergency medical kit and administered an EpiPen to the boy. Everyone on board watched in or as she worked, explaining each step to the terrified mother and flight attendants. Gradually, the boy's breathing eased, and color returned to his face. The mother sobbed with relief, thanking Jasmine profusely. The other passengers broke into applause, amazed by Jasmine's life-saving intervention. As Jasmine returned to her seat, Richard sat speechless. The woman he had belittled and dismissed had just saved a child's life. For the rest of the flight, he remained silent, his arrogance replaced by deep shame and regret. When the plane began its descent, Richard finally mustered the courage to speak. I just wanted to say, what you did earlier was impressive," he mumbled awkwardly. "I'm sorry for how I treated you. I was completely out of line." Jasmine gave him a small, knowing smile. "Thank you," she said simply. Apology accepted. Richard, still unsettled by her calm demeanor, asked why she hadn't confronted him about his earlier behavior. Jasmine's response was gentle but powerful. "Because people like you, who think their money or status gives them the right to treat others poorly, you're not as important as you think you are. I wasn't going to waste my energy on your judgment. My worth doesn't depend on your approval." As they disembarked, Richard watched Jasmine disappear into the crowd, knowing this encounter had changed him forever. He realized that true worth had nothing to do with money or status, but everything to do with character and compassion. In the airport terminal, Richard made a decision. He called his financial advisor and arranged a significant donation to the charity Jasmine had mentioned, one that provided medical care to underserved communities. It wasn't about recognition anymore. It was about doing the right thing. Richard left the airport feeling lighter, knowing his life had shifted in a profound way. Jasmine had saved more than just the child on that flight. She had saved Richard from his own shallow, self-absorbed existence. As he stepped into the fresh air, Richard felt, for the first time in years, that he was finally headed in the right direction.